Good afternoon. This is Pablo Galeana here, live from Madrid, to share the latest results on the first study conducted on the status of digital transformation at medical associations. We are glad to present the results we have obtained after analyzing the responses of the participants in our survey, and we want to share some top lines and some ideas and priorities that may help you get to the next level with regards to digital. So let me start by sharing my screen so you can see exactly the information we're about to share. So the goals of the survey from our side was really initially to make sure we have some type of information to benchmark, how the industry is doing, specifically how our medical association is doing when it comes to digital. But going to the results or the objectives of the survey, we wanted to understand what was the level of awareness with regards to how digital impacts healthcare. Secondly, we wanted to understand what was the status of digital development at top medical associations. And finally, which were the main need gaps in what we consider are the 4 key pillars of digital transformation. Now, let's review them one by one. The 4 key pillars that we normally talk about with our clients, organizations, etc., are digital assets, which basically talks about how we create and activate content online. Secondly, if we are to create and activate content online, what is the talent that we've got on board? So what are the people and processes that are helping us do the job? Thirdly, we want to understand what are the data analytics that are being performed at the organization to really mine the insights that will let us understand what is more important for each stakeholder, whether it is a member or society at large, when addressing them through digital means. And finally, and that's all about metrics and insights, and finally, we want to understand from an infrastructure perspective, what are the platforms we are using to measure the different interactions that take place between our association and its members, our association and society at large, and how is IT supporting the efforts to manage this transformation. With that in mind, we crafted a survey that was delivered at the Association Congress in Lausanne last May 6th and 7th, and it was delivered to senior decision makers at leading international medical associations. We had a total of 25 surveys completed, and the questionnaire was delivered thanks to a tablet that we shared with the participants. I'm sure by now you're interested in knowing what came out of that study. The first thing that will come to mind, and this is the area of the general perception about digital's role in healthcare, is that digital is perceived as critical to reach the association's mission. And that is said by 84% of participants that agreed or completely agreed with the statement. However, when you delve deeper and prompt participants to respond to the way in which digital technologies are influencing how patients are choosing their healthcare, or managing their healthcare, or transforming the patient-doctor interaction, the truth is it does not appear to be as strong, which is something that is surprising given the amount of transformation in the way consumers are actually managing, or users are managing, their health, and the increasing role digital is having across all the stages of the recovery process, where it is researching on the symptoms, where it is researching on the diagnosis delivered by the doctor, where it is checking out the prescribed treatment, or just understanding during the recovery after the treatment, what are the challenges that patients are going to face. In all those areas, digital is the most important source of information, and therefore this could be very interesting to take into consideration when we discuss with our members and with our boards how to address this challenge with our members. Let's go into one of the pillars, the first one, which is digital assets. As you can see, there are two bars in the presentation, a blue bar and a red bar. The blue bar is related to what we see there, top two box, so TTB. Top two box agree, which means the sum of all those respondents that agreed or completely agreed with the statement, and the red box where it says B2B, disagree, means bottom two box, and it means the sum of all those that disagreed or completely disagreed with the statement. And as you can see there, most of you agree that you're regularly creating engaging content and that you're actively managing your own channels in all sorts of social media, your own site, etc., and that you're using digital to maximize the impact of your activities. However, when it comes to two critical elements, whether you have a clear digital strategy or the strategy is executed flawlessly, this comes up as a big need gap. Generally, we find very often in our organization, especially in healthcare, that we are working very hard at producing content, at trying to get it through our channels to our members or stakeholders, but in reality, we are captured by the flavor of the month deal, which is now it's Facebook, tomorrow it's Instagram, then it's Twitter, and very often we don't really understand, how to make that a cohesive mix that will yield the best results for the organization. And this is coupled with something we'll see later around measurement. The second pillar is about talent. So do we have the right people and processes in the association to ensure that digital is delivered appropriately and consistently day after day? In general, you felt that there are good experts in the organization to deal with digital, and that top management, which is really critical, understands the importance of data and supports the efforts. Where things go wrong or could be improved is in the working regularly with competent digital agencies, or in ensuring that digital remains a top priority when engaging in any project. According to some of you, the fact that top management at the association is aligned with the digital priorities, that doesn't mean that the commissions, the committees, the boards that are drafting the projects or developing the projects have the same view or have the same capabilities, and therefore not always this is going to be reflected at the start of a project. And as a result, each initiative will just get its digital approach at the end of the process, and they will say, just get this, go and run with this, and try to find something that is meaningful. When if it had been thought from the start and had digital involved from the start, they would have seen different solutions that would have improved the outcome. As for the third pillar, data analytics. So how can we derive insights from big data? Most of you are aware that a lot of interactions are being measured through digital today, and that those interactions require a deep level of analysis to actually leverage all that information and transform it into action, into decision making. Where we see the biggest gaps in this area are when we ask about having an expert in data analytics, about measuring and benchmarking each initiative, and when we think about having a dashboard with clear digital KPIs, which is available readily by anyone in the organization to be used for decision making. Now, this happens in many organizations, whether it is NGOs or even businesses. So this doesn't come as a surprise. And as you see the last two statements, it's clear that it's quite polarized. What does this mean? That you have a big group that says that, you know, we agree that we have a way to regularly identify insights about members, and others that say, no, we are not doing anything to measure that. And this is something that comes out clearly in the analysis. There seems to be like two worlds in terms of the development of the digital capabilities. And this is something that probably needs addressing. Finally, infrastructure. So how do we receive the technical support and have in place the platforms that allow us to measure the interactions in a way that is useful for the organization in a single place? It is clear that CRM platforms are not yet mainstream, although some of you claim to have them. And at the same time, what we find is IT is not being a showstopper as it is in other organizations, or at least it's a showstopper just in some of the organizations. We point this element as critical because no real digital transformation can take place without an involvement or a proactive involvement of your IT team and the alignment between your IT objectives and the priorities of digital transformation. Now, how does everything come together so that we can understand overall where we stand? We said there were 4 pillars. So what are the areas where we find that the organizations are suffering the most, and where are the opportunities? Well, if you see the status of development in each pillar, rating from 1 being very bad to 5 being very good, what we see is that in digital assets, there seems to be a lot of work that has been done, and therefore it comes up as the strongest pillar of all. While data analytics, all that is to do with analyzing data, measuring interactions, benchmarking our initiatives to show accountability of what works best or what doesn't work, is coming out clearly at the bottom. People, processes, and IT infrastructure are middle of the road, but in general, we could say that most of you find yourself at an intermediate level. Now, it is true that going from this stage to the next stage, to the advanced level, is going to take a lot of effort and a lot of prioritization within your organizations to ensure that you get there. We would say, and this is an important area to take into consideration, is that this is a journey. It's not a destination. Digital is going to keep evolving, and things that we say today will not be as valid in 2 years' time. So this will always seem like an unfinished job. At the same time, we need to make sure that we fix the basics. And in this case, we have found basics that are very clear and simple to point out. One of them is about establishing the right KPIs and measurements, about comparing each initiative that is being performed in digital, and about having the clear strategy in place to make sure everything comes together. To summarize, participants are conscious that digital is key for their associations. Most of you lack strategy or flawless execution, although you create good digital assets. There is management support and in-house experts. However, probably working with competent digital partners would help accelerate the processes. Finally, as we said, ability with data is still not developed, and having a powerful CRM platform for your members is going to help out a lot. Final statement would be, we have two ends of the spectrum, those that are doing pretty well and those that are doing not as well. So for those of you that believe that there's an area where you guys need help, I just can say that Digital Labs is prepared and willing to give a helping hand. And in the next few weeks, we will be sending out the benchmarking reports, and we will start booking 30 minutes free consulting to help you understand exactly what your benchmark report says compared to the results we found for the industry today. Thanking you very much for your attention today. We remain at your disposal, and we hope your digital efforts will continue yielding great satisfaction for your organizations in the future.